Welcome to the Assist Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schwartz, and first a little note, I apologize for the lack of content and visibility on what's been going on. I've had a really busy school schedule this past week, but we're going to have 3 awesome episodes coming out in the next few days, and the first of which is an episode on the big Star Wars news that we just were hearing over the weekend and throughout the week. And then a little bit of Endgame stuff at the end, should we get to it. And of course, the perfect person to talk about that is Thorin Bartlebaugh. Thorin, how are you doing?
I am excellent today. How are you?
I'm not bad. I do want to point out the record 3rd appearance on the podcast right now you hold. How does it make you feel?
Oh, I am honored to be a part of this historic event.
So historic event too. I didn't know this was happening. You're definitely more of a Star Wars guy than I am. A little bit more in depth there. The first footage of Episode 9 was released, and we have a title.
Yes, we have the title, The Rise of Skywalker, and I am absolutely confused as to what that means.
So first, I want to break down the footage a little bit. The first maybe minute of the trailer is Rey flipping over, jumping up very high in the air, and slicing a TIE fighter in half. Very cool shot. Doesn't give us any information about anything, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kylo's, so...
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't pick that up.
It's his fighter, so I don't know if that's if that was maybe a vision or something, or if they're training together, if they end up siding with each other, but...
That's interesting. Okay.
There's a lot of mystery.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that, because I mean, there are a lot of words written about The Last Jedi, the 8th movie.
Yes.
Because it really took some turns that the 7th movie didn't want to take risks on. And Ryan, I don't know how to say his name, Ryan Johnson, Ryan Johnson, director of 8, really took a couple turns especially with, I mean, Kylo's character has always been kind of back and forth. I think we were both kind of waiting for him to have a redeeming moment, and he did. I mean, he sliced Snoke in half, and at the end of the movie, he's like, nope, we're going after him, we're killing everybody. And it's like, okay, interesting. Rey's the hero of it, basically, and then they have a lot of the side characters, too, which was a discussion point when they didn't... Finn was set up for the noble sacrifice, didn't do it, or didn't pay off, you know what I mean?
Right.
A couple decisions like that was just kind of like, this is interesting. Overall, I liked the movie. It was just interesting because now we're set up with the last movie that they said, they said in the trailer, the saga ends. And there's still a lot of different storylines. Like Poe, for instance. Great character of this new trilogy. Oscar Isaac's character. He's barely in this thing. At least and of course trailers are misleading. But he's barely in it. Which I think is kind of an issue in a way, I guess.
No, I have to agree. I really like his character. He just doesn't... He had some good screen time in The Last Jedi. It's just that whole situation seemed to be completely pointless in the end. Yeah. I mean, I too really enjoyed the movie. A lot of people like to hate on it, but I really, for the most part, enjoyed it, especially because it subverted expectations the way it did. But if I were to criticize a couple points, the casino place.
Yeah, that was so weird.
That was just the pacing was not put together, I don't think, right? And I think Finn probably should have sacrificed himself because that whole love scene was just so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. It was like, okay, this could have maybe helped, but nah, we're going to stop in the middle of this huge battle to kiss. No, this is not the time. This is really not the time.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you completely. There's a touching scene in the trailer between Leia, who, of course, Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. Rest in peace. Still in the movie.
Yes.
Leia and Rey embrace. Rey sheds a tear. Don't know what that tear is, but it's there. It's real emotion in this. And then you get the typical, like, varied, type of things with different scenes and places. It looks like Tatooine may be involved, which, of course, is the mecca of Star Wars, it seems like.
Yeah, I almost kind of hope it's not, just because, I mean, whether it's Tatooine or not, it's just another desert place, and it just seems to be, like, reused so much at this point.
Yeah, it feels like the prequels were, like, trying to expand a bit more, but like, oh, here's a water world. Here's Earth, basically, in the form of Naboo. Here's Fire Planet, just because. And, like, they kind of spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah, a lot of the planets don't have different biomes. They're just one environment, and that's it. It's like, there's not really a lot of depth to the worlds, I guess.
Right, exactly. And then the trailer closes with our, I guess you would call it, team of supposed heroes. Rey, Finn, Poe. I think C-3PO and R2-D2 were in the shot. A couple other people. And you see the ruins of a large ship that almost looks like it's underwater. And then you hear Luke Skywalker is talking, narrating throughout the trailer. Rest in peace. Movie version. The actor's still alive. And he says something like, when people... I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something like, people, Rey, are truly never gone. And then you hear the man himself, Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, famous cackle laugh. And everyone said, oh, shit.
Oh, shit, indeed. That's just... There's so much there that's like... What is... I think that's the point of the trailer, is just saying, like, what is happening. This needs to be seen in theaters, like, right now. And I think it really did a good job at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the implication was that was the Death Star, the second Death Star.
Yes.
And that Palpatine has been hiding there for however long it's been. I don't remember the exact timetable, but we know it's been a while. Which, I mean, I guess it's not really, it's the typical fantasy thing of, well, we never did see his body. He was thrown down a shaft. Never did see his body.
That's true.
So it's pretty easy for them to say that, and of course with the mystics behind the Force and everything, and Palpatine had a lot figured out based on the fact that he just extinguished the Jedi in 20 minutes after planning for years. So I wouldn't put it past him, and it's just interesting. I just hope, if they're going to do this, which it looks like they are, I hope, one, it's not underdeveloped, that everything gets explained. Kylo, Luke possibly going. I mean, you would think that Palpatine had a role in that then. All the stuff with the First Order, it'd be pretty funny, because if Palpatine is behind all this, then he built his third Death Star. He just really likes it.
Yeah, honestly, you just brought up a good point, like, where people criticize The Force Awakens for being another Death Star. If Palpatine was behind the whole thing the whole time, that would kind of explain that and justify it, I would think, a little better.
Right, yeah.
Almost. Because there's also two theories that I've heard about, like, where they are to find the Death Star.
Let's go.
And it's either Endor,
right,
which sounds weird at the first place because it's supposed to be a forest, but with the explosion of a Death Star, you would think the debris, which they said they captured in force fields or something, but they definitely didn't capture all of the millions of pieces. You would think the debris would crash down and, like, light the forest on fire. So that could be a really dark,
almost like an asteroid
implication. Yeah, that would be a cool, like, world building almost thing where they're just exploring the ruins of that area. Or they could take the route where, if the Death Star gets damaged, it tries to go into hyperspace and then just spits out somewhere else onto a random planet.
Right.
Maybe in those unknown places, and that could be what Snoke was talking about the unknown places. That could have been Palpatine controlling him the whole time.
That's true. So that's the interesting about the Snoke character, then.
He could just be a puppet.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wonder, and I mean, if it's Palpatine, as the main villain overall. It has been the whole time. That would lead me to believe that Kylo will team up with Rey. That'd be the only logical thing for me.
I would have to agree. But I would like to see it.
Yeah, like not in the way, Vader turned right at the end against Palpatine, but like from the half-hour mark of the movie. They figure it out. Like, I feel like you can't drag out... Now that we know this is happening, or we think we know it's happening, you can't drag it out till like the third act. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would frustrate me.
Yeah, there would be too much just exposition and not enough to lead up into the end, I would say.
It's kind of like what Infinity War did with Infinity War did with Thanos, when they were like, okay, we know Thanos is coming, we know this, and we were literally plunged straight into the action with Thanos getting the second stone, literally straight in, and we're just like, oh shit, there's no exposition, there's none. It's like, if you don't know what's happening right now, get out of the theater.
You've had 10 years to figure it out.
Right, so I wonder if it would be that kind of element as well, because I mean, this is, as Abrams has kind of said, they're like, yep, this is the 9th one, this is it, this is going to be the 9-movie set. And whatever we do next, and we're going to talk about a couple projects they want to do, is going to be either a side to this and fit into the narrative we've established, or we're just going to go off and do other things. The Skywalker saga will end, which I think is probably the right call.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's only so much you can drag out, like a show. And I hear J.J. Abrams brought up a couple points over the weekend. I guess... he's been in talks with George Lucas and even Rian Johnson to maybe bring some old, like, I think they call them Legends material from, like, before Disney got the series.
Okay.
Which could even mean that maybe Snoke was, like, a clone of Palpatine, because I guess he cloned himself in the Legends.
I saw this theory,
which could be very, very interesting, and the clone would just turn out malformed, how Snoke was.
I saw that theory too, which is, I mean, it'd be trippy, but you just explained it right there in 10 seconds. So,
yeah, and I think he also was talking about how I mean, Rian Johnson did, I think, a good job at subverting expectations, but he also left the third movie completely without an antagonist.
Yes,
like, Kylo's sort of there. Hux is just kind of up in the air. He doesn't really do much anymore.
Right.
So, in order to not spend the whole movie setting up another villain, you would have to maybe bring back someone else or do something that would make sense for a 2-hour movie.
Exactly.
So I would think that he's got a lot up his sleeve right now in the mystery department and backstories and stuff.
Has any character been a villain for 9 movies? I mean,
Thanos.
Okay, yeah, I guess. I'm trying to think, but like,
I don't think so.
Like Thanos, I mean, everyone knows how much of Marvel junkies we are, and like, he is directly responsible for the first Avengers.
Yes.
They haven't said it, but I don't think he's responsible for Ultron, so that's the issue I have with that theory. Because, like, I know he's there, you know what I mean? And if you want to do the whole puppet thing, right, which is what Palpatine would probably be doing in this last 3, if you want to put that into Marvel, you would say Thanos is responsible for Loki and Avengers, not in Thor. He's not responsible for either of the other Thor ones. So he's not responsible for Ultron. He is responsible for Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, because he was working with Ronan. Other than that, I feel like, and they haven't explicitly said this yet, maybe they will in this new movie, in Endgame, but like, it could have been that he just was waiting, and that's why, but I feel like he didn't necessarily have a hand in everything. It's almost like he waited for everything to appear and then went after it all. When Odin was dead, when I don't know how for sure, but when Earth was weak because Tony and Cap weren't talking, that kind of stuff. So I want, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's not directly responsible, but he's just like, advantageous to do this now. And
yeah, he was playing the waiting game. He was doing the long game.
Right. Okay, so back to Star Wars real quick. Or not real quick for a while. The title. We've made it 15 minutes without talking about the title. We're both disappointed with the title, I think. At least I know I am. I think you have some reservations. The Rise of Skywalker, or A Skywalker? Is there an A in there?
No, just Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. Can I talk about my issues with this?
Yes, of course.
So, I believe Abrams was supposed to do all 3 movies, right? Because he directed 7. He's directing 9. Was he supposed to do 8?
I think.
Okay.
He might have. I think it actually might have been planned on doing separate, but I think there was an overarching story that they had planned out.
Okay.
Rian Johnson just ended up throwing a lot of it out and making his own, I think.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because here's my issue. Rian Johnson made a really big deal about how the fact that Rey's parents are nobodies, that she's not a Skywalker, or as I was hoping, because he's my favorite person in the series, a Kenobi.
Ooh.
But
that would be very cool.
But that's what I was hoping. Now I know that was a theory beforehand, but they said that she's not. Like, her parents are just whatever they were. They sold her. They were drunks, whatever. So the issue with titling it "The Rise of Skywalker," and there are many ways, and we're going to talk about all the different ways that this could be interpreted. But like, why? Why? Like, if you're gonna, I am concerned that with Rian Johnson's decision, or whoever it was, to be like, yeah, they're nobodies, this is going to be a noble story. And that Abrams is just going to come in and be like, well, I'm going to direct 2 out of 3 of these movies, so my story is going to be the overarching one, and actually, we're going to pull a fast one. Because that was like the whole point of 8, was like, we can move past the Jedi, your parents are nobodies, but that's okay, like, you are still incredible and special, and you're going to do this. Like, I don't know. It just, because 7, you felt like Rey was meeting her dad, or something like that. You know what I mean? When she met Luke at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
8 threw that out of the water. And, you know, they were teasing the fact, and I truly thought she was going to be like, well, you're not my kid, but you're the long-lost one of a granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Be like, oh, that's pretty cool. That didn't happen either. And now, with this title, I'm concerned. I'm not panicked. I'm concerned.
I share the same. But I mean, it could be referencing to Kylo, but at the same time, can a character like Kylo, who's killed so many people, really rise? Like,
exactly.
Are they gonna just treat him like a normal person after? Because I don't think you can do that. He's kind of off the deep end.
And here's my problem with the Kylo.
I mean, he may seek redemption, but...
Right. So, I mean, even if he's redeemed, great. Here's my problem with the Kylo thing. The 7th movie makes a really big deal about how he is a Solo with his father. Like, I don't know. I mean, you have to remember, you know, that whole scene and everything, it's like, he is referred to as Ben Solo repeatedly, and I get it. I know Han and Leia were married, so he's half Skywalker. Yes, I get that connection, but, like, it has never, and you're right, he's never been set up to be like that. He's never been set up to be noble. Like, we know Luke had some dark turns and stuff like that, and had dark thoughts, and obviously, and, I mean, Anakin did. So, I mean, if his story's reflecting Anakin, maybe that's a bit different, but he also hasn't been set up for that. This series, this trilogy, has been about Rey. And so I feel like that would be also, in a different way, a fast one on us. Be like, well, yeah, he killed Han Solo, but, like, Rise of the Skywalker. It's great. He's awesome. He's great now. Like,
he's cool now.
I could see him in the middle of it, but, like, for him to be the end hero of the series, that would bother me, too. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. There's also a theory I heard that maybe Skywalker is the name of the new order, so they're all Skywalkers, or maybe Leia adopts Rey before she inevitably either gets sent off or killed off, because it's kind of...
Because actor's dead, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of inevitable. But I mean, I don't know how I would feel about if they named the New Order the Skywalkers. I mean, especially because I don't know. Vader kind of, I think, tarnished the name. It would kind of be weird.
Right.
I'm not sure, though.
I think I've seen the Order thing. I think that's better than any of the two options we've discussed, or possible decisions we've discussed. And I also think I've heard that it can be a symbolic type of thing, like not necessarily just the name of the Order, but like Rey is a Skywalker in the sense of like just that word of doing the right thing or whatever. Like it means more in the galaxy or whatever like that. And I mean, I think that would be fair, or the adoption would be, I think, a fair thing too. Like right at the end of the movie, those decisions I'd be okay with. And of course, this is me just talking like I am this all-knowing person that analyzes all these things and knows what they're talking about, and I don't. But like, just from the logical sense, I hope they do the right thing, because a lot more people are going to be upset if Ben at the end of the movie or Kylo starts calling himself like, I'm not Kylo Ren anymore, I'm Ben Skywalker. You'd be like, no, shut your ass mouth up.
Well, also now I think the Knights of Ren, is that confirmed to be in the movie finally again?
I remember when that was such a big deal. What, 5 years ago?
Yeah. But, and it had been mentioned a couple times in the movies, but we never saw them. Like, who are they? What's the big deal? You'd think that'd be more prominent.
Yeah, I mean that was such a big deal, and also the stormtrooper lady, what was her name?
Phasma.
Yeah,
oh, they did her dirty. They did her so dirty.
So anyway, Palpatine's going to come back. Palpatine will come back and save the series. He'll fix everything. In his own twisted way.
See, like, will the First Order be defeated? Will we finally see, like, the New Republic army? Because that's what I've been hating about this new series, is just Rebels versus Empire again. Like, I want to see Clone Wars level battles, where maybe in this movie they get those reinforcements. Maybe the Resistance was just, like, the first, like, people that were doing things about it, and no one else took it seriously, and now everyone's coming in. I'd like to see a huge battle, but I don't know if we'll get that.
Right. I hope so. That'd be great. The problem is, though, didn't they end the movie with, like, everyone on the Resistance on the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, but Leia said she had contacts somewhere else, but it's just, it doesn't make sense to me, like, how the Republic has been just totally destroyed in one go. Yeah. Like, you would think they would take a threat more seriously than they did. It just seems like the whole thing has just been blissful ignorance, and it's just, I don't really believe that.
The galaxy doesn't make sense to me. Like, the whole government of a galaxy and the whole concept of how this works, I feel like this could be a whole conceptual issue about all of Star Wars.
Well, see, that's what the prequels did good, is they kind of did world building with the whole Senate scenes, right. But everyone hated that because it was just a bunch of politics, but that actually gave you context to what was going on. And now we have the total opposite, where we have no idea what's going outside of the story.
Right, and like how the Jedi played a role in that, and that makes sense, but then it's like, okay, if everything is so bad with the Emperor and 4 to 6, like, aren't there just, like, billions of beings in this galaxy? Like, you're telling me that everyone's just, like, cool with this? Or, like, I don't even know, like, empires in this world fall because people get upset, frustrated, whatever, because, empires usually don't do good things.
Right.
But, like, I feel like maybe in the galaxy there's just not enough, like, enforcement. Like, the Emperor's not going to go from planet to planet just choking people out and electrocuting people, like, sucks for you. Like, he doesn't care. So
I think the whole thing with that, it was, like, the worlds closer to the, like, core, I guess, of the galaxy were just kind of neutral, because they weren't really being... They were like indifferent because nothing changed much, but I think like the outer planets were getting like strip mined and stuff, so those people were the only ones that were mad. But there would still be a shit ton of people.
Yeah, like I just feel like, when in the First Order thing like you brought up, people see them rising up kind of, and they're like, whatever, we're done. We're not going to join the Resistance. It's like, really? What do you mean? This is the third time an evil empire has come up, and you're going to just let it go again?
The first time within, 80 years or something, right?
Yeah, it's just like, really?
Each time they treat it like, oh, it can't be that bad. It's never happened before.
It happened
10 years ago.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Okay, you brought up Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars. Oh, are we getting started on that now?
This 25 minutes in, we have to be two of the few college age level adults that are like, we saw it's season 6, right? Because they had that weird season. I think
it's 7.
It's 7? Okay, because they had the weird season that didn't really do anything at the end.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Clone Wars was an animated series back in the day that you and I both loved. And that we really had an appreciate. We weren't really close when it was still airing. But now when we're this is one of our things. We're just anything happens with this, we send it to each other. We're ready. We'll probably watch a lot of the new episodes together.
Absolutely.
And they never finished it. Disney canceled it, I believe, abruptly, and we never got the end because they just didn't want to keep doing it. And then Disney Plus is coming out, and they announced with a trailer they were doing season 7. And so for anyone that is contemplating not listening to this, I want to bring up a few points that why Star Wars The Clone Wars is important. 1, it makes episode 3 a lot better to watch. It does. They characterize Anakin and Obi-Wan a lot more in this series. And of course, Anakin gets his own Padawan, Ahsoka. It's very important because I feel like they have, and you and I talked about this a little bit, what we hope for the new season. They have done a good job, or they did a good job, I guess, however many years ago, of mixing in the kind of storylines and giving people more points, Dooku gets expanded on a bit more, Grievous gets expanded on, and more General Grievous is always good, just being honest. He's a terror in that series. Some other Jedi that are barely in the third movie, like Plo Koon, are in it a lot, which is awesome. So stuff, and Mace Windu, of course, stuff like that, which they really get to expand upon. And like you said, the world building, there's a ton of world building in this series, and it's all canon, which is really important. And I think they do a really good job with showing how Anakin from the second movie, who is still kind of like a whiny brat, going to full Sith Lord in the third movie, and how that actually played out in the time, those years in between. I feel like they did a good job of that. That's why it's important.
Oh, yeah. I think, episode 3, Anakin's kind of whiny and shit, and I agree, but once you watch the Clone Wars, you kind of view episode 3 as in he's just kind of, he's, bitter in a mood because he's been in the war so long, so it's not really a whiny, complacent thing. It's, you see all the stuff he's been through and why he might be angry at what's going on.
Right.
Also because that script was awful for Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, poor guy. Poor guy.
The Clone Wars, I hear people that talk about it and they're like, it was just too childish for me. And I totally agree with the first 3 seasons, because they're definitely more just random battles where people just hop around and shoot things. But then when you get into the later seasons where there's I forget, was his name Cad Bane, the bounty hunter, where there's multiple episodes that take place in a huge overarching story.
Yeah. And
they all kind of mesh with each other. And then you get the Mandalore arc where Obi-Wan holds his dead girlfriend.
Yes.
And you just go, "Oh my god, this is great. This is the type of impact that you would want from a show." Yeah.
Cad Bane and Darth Maul raised the level of the series to what you're talking about. Because Darth Maul, I mean, it's not a spoiler. Everyone knows he's alive at some point, especially with the Han Solo movie that just came out.
Speaking of that, everyone hated on that, but I thought that was a great movie.
Thorne's alone on the hill, on the big hill of, I thought Solo was okay, or I liked Solo, and every other Star Wars fan is looking at him.
It was just a fun ride. I don't understand the hate. I really don't. Anyway.
You want to hear something sad? I haven't seen it.
Man, we need to watch that and Rogue One.
It's another podcast appearance. I still haven't watched Rogue One.
See, I've liked Rogue One and Solo so much because they're like side stories where it's like gritty.
Right.
And that's the type of stuff I like. That's why I think they're so good. They're not, magical Jedi stuff. But anyway, going back to the Clone War.
Yeah, so for the Clone Wars, I think the description of it is like, because you don't really get a time for anything. I think it's all like, you're right. There's a couple episode arcs. Like there's some, I think they're like 3 episode arcs that'll go along, but you can put those in any order in the series. So you don't necessarily have to watch it in order, if that makes sense. So you can watch the Mandalore stuff, then you can watch the Cad Bane stuff, even though technically they didn't air like that, but you can do that. Like there's no, like this happened before this.
Yeah, I think they actually made like a list that you can find online where you can watch it in the proper chronological order,
okay,
but
so
the way they aired it didn't even match up with that anyway. So if you watch it like how they're going to offer it on Disney Plus, it's not even going to be chronological, but you can make the decision to do that. And they make sense both ways.
Mm-hmm. Right. So before we start talking about what we want to see in Season 7, because there's one thing I know we're getting and I'm ready. The Clone Trooper thing also gets expanded upon a lot. And like you said, with the kind of adult growing up, I mean, you see Rex, Anakin's commander for the Clone Legion they're in, really go through a lot. And they even bring that up in the trailer about that, yeah, these are all clones, but I mean, at some point they are also people, which is really a concept that isn't brushed up really on in the movies. So there's just a lot of expanding and more characterization, which is what you can get with a TV show rather than a movie. But it's, I think it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, I want to bring up, because of the clones, I know there's an episode, I think, earlier in the seasons where they come across a deserter that, like, they're fighting on a world and he gets shot and he goes to a home.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And there's a clone there and he's like, aren't you supposed to be fighting in the war? And he's like, no, I made a life for myself here. And they're arguing. And then the guy talks and he says, I didn't want to be created for a war. I'm not here to be just a slave because I'm fighting a war that I don't even know what it's about. And Rex is like, oh shit, this guy has a point. Mm-hmm. And then later, I think it's like the 6th season or the 5th or 6th season where the one clone discovers the chips that are planted in all their heads so that they will follow an order against their will. He doesn't know what the order might be, but he knows that they have chips that can control their minds, because there was an incident where a clone just killed a Jedi out of nowhere because his thing malfunctioned. And then he's going around trying to tell people, but the Republic's after him because they want to cover it up. And he's being hunted down. Even Anakin doesn't believe him. He gets shot and he's only trying to help. And it's just like a sad story where the guy's just trying to help and expose this, but he's just being hunted down and not believed by everyone. It was rough.
Yeah, that episode arc was just heartbreaking. And of course we know that because of Rebels, Rex takes his out eventually. Yeah. Which we will see, I think, in Season 7. What is the thing you are most excited for Season 7? That you've seen through the trailers?
I gotta say, the Mandalore stuff and the fact that Anakin gives Ahsoka like a section of his battalion of clones, and then they paint their helmets orange with her markings on her face. Mm-hmm. Like that's always been so cool. And I've seen like cut footage of it or like concept art of it after it was canceled the first time, and I'm like, man, I want to see this so bad. So now that we actually get to see it, especially because I think they released unfinished episodes of most of the stuff you see in the trailer, like the Bad Batch stuff had like 3D models sort of animated together, but it just never was finished because it was canceled. But now we get to see all that. But yeah, the clones I think are I'm most excited for. How about you?
I am ready for the famed Darth Maul. He's still alive in the Clone Wars, which is interesting because last time we saw him, I believe Palpatine kind of just took him, right?
Yeah. So, I think so.
That was one of the best duels I've ever seen, was Darth Maul and Palpatine fighting. That's the other thing. The lightsaber duels are so good in this. Even I don't care that they're animated. I don't care that it's animated. Like they are incredible always.
They're very visually pleasing.
Grievous.
And do you know Maul's fate, by the way?
Oh, what happened in Rebels? That? Yeah. Okay, we can talk about it. That happened a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah, where Maul finally gets killed by Kenobi for once and for all.
10-second duel. That was incredible. That was great too because of Maul talking about the Savior, about Luke. That was cool.
Yeah, that was really neat.
So Maul will come back. I mean, we see that, and we knew that because, like you said, Ahsoka gets her own Legion, and something's gonna have to happen towards the end where she's on Mandalore, and stuff like that for the war. Because as we know, Order 66 happened when the Jedi were all spread out, like at their weakest, basically, and you saw that in the movie when people are getting picked off one by one. There is in canon, it is canon, I believe. There's a Ahsoka Darth Maul duel on Mandalore as Order 66 is happening, and then Rex, because Rex is with Ahsoka. Obviously, Rex isn't in Episode 3 at all, so that explains that, which is good. There's no plot hole there, and Rex and Ahsoka escape, and then that sets up Rebels in some way and stuff like that. So basically, and they show in the trailer a little clip of Ahsoka and Darth Maul dueling, because Darth Maul says something like, "I was hoping for Kenobi," or something like that. Which, whenever Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi are on the screen together in Clone Wars, it's incredible. Like I said, Kenobi's my favorite, but character, but yeah, just incredible. So I'm most excited for that because that means we are getting Order 66 in some way, either hints at it or just that scene of it happening or something happening where Ahsoka is going to realize what happened and that the series might end on that. Like, I don't know how many episodes this season's going to be, but that might just be how it ends and maybe the fallout afterwards, which is incredible because it's hinted at many times throughout the series. There's certain episodes that really go heavy into it. I know there's one episode where Anakin was shown the future by a godlike being and stuff like that. So it would be nice to really see it happen. So
I do hope that, like, during that Mandalore stuff where Anakin and Obi-Wan already go off to start Episode 3, that, like, because there's points in the movie where they kind of jump around. So I hope maybe there's a couple scenes set in that in-between area where they're like, oh, yeah, we just got done at, saving the Chancellor. How's it going? Like, it's different stuff like that. And I hope there's, like, periodic scenes like that so where you can see, Anakin slowly just unraveling.
Right.
And then I hope they have just an all-out chaos thing during the duel, where the clones are just starting to shoot up the place. Everyone's just collapsing. I hope it's like an apocalyptic sort of like what is happening, everything's falling apart sort of episode.
Right.
That would be that would be so impactful. That would be a heavy episode. And speaking of that Maul and Ahsoka duel, I read that parts of it have been motion captured by the guy that played Maul.
Wow.
So it's going to be a spectacle.
So another level the duels are going to be now in the series. That's
quality
awesome.
Is going to be through the roof, I hope.
And we were talking, we're not sure because they said November originally, now it might be early next year. So we don't know exactly when it's going to be released.
Right. I think I read November, but I believe that's when Disney Plus is coming out.
Yes. So
I think they're going to release it early 2020 because I know the Mandalorian, I should say, is coming out at launch of Disney Plus, I believe. Right,
and that's a live action, right?
Yeah. That's going to be a great one, I hope. Like, set after Return of the Jedi, right? He's just kind of wandering around as a bounty hunter?
I think so, yes. Which is awesome. Let's see, I'm trying to find when Star Wars The Clone Wars is.
I don't think there's well, didn't they release a thing last year saying it was coming in 2019? So maybe it's like December or something?
Let's see.
Just the amount of content coming out is almost overwhelming.
Yeah, Disney is insane. Let's see. Yeah, you're talking about the motion capture or motion capture.
I guess I don't
Doesn't
know
say
if they
anything.
confirmed.
12 episodes.
I don't see nothing.
Yeah, it's 12
episodes, really.
Yes.
I was kind of hoping for more, but I think that would be a
enough
decent
to
amount.
tie it all together.
Yeah. And then in other news, there's the new games coming out, like a rumored Lego Star Wars third. What is it? Not the third game. It would be like a fifth Lego Star Wars game or something.
Something like that. All I know is those were the original, not the original one, the one with the complete saga, the sixth. That was that was our childhood.
That was a beautiful game.
I mean, on the GameCube, on the Wii.
And then also Jedi Fallen Order that takes place after Order 66. That'll be cool.
Right, I did see a trailer about that.
Yeah, it's like I think it's just a story-focused game, which is a great change.
Right, from usual.
Yeah. Also Battlefront 2 is still going strong. I highly recommend people pick that up.
I still don't have it.
It's good. It's really good. It's come back from its dark past.
I heard a lot of people didn't like it at first, or like there were some issues with it.
There was a lot of microtransactions in it. Where you couldn't do anything without buying a box that upgrades your stuff. But they took that out and they made it like a whole new progression system, and they're adding a bunch of Clone Wars content. And it's like I think it was the most popular sold game in Australia this past month. So It's making a comeback, which is
a long time
good
after
to hear.
release. Yeah. You normally don't see that.
It's been a long time coming.
That's crazy. Wow. Good to hear. We're already at 40 minutes. We're not even going to get to Endgame. It's probably better for our sanity.
Endgame. For our sanity, yeah, I would say so. Endgame is just a whole nother beast. We still don't know what's happening.
We've still barely seen Thanos. I don't even know what to say, other than apparently Tony has vibranium armor now.
That's not always been the case?
No, his last suit was nanotech.
Oh, so it wasn't just nanos in vibranium? Oh, okay. So is he going to actually have like a suit of armor again?
Yeah, I have no clue. I really don't know. I don't know anymore. After you do nanotech, like we're working on nanotech, and like everything else, you can kind of imagine. Even though physicists have debated about Iron Man's suit for a long time,
right?
It's like nanotech is being worked on right now for a lot of things, but it's just like, oh, nanotech can just make swords out of nothing. It's like, okay, I mean, I guess, but like, how does his mind tell him that? It's like, no, don't talk about that. Like,
don't worry about it.
Wait, nanotech took a blast from the Power Stone and didn't just collapse? Yeah, okay.
It looked cool.
Exactly. So it's like probably the less questions you ask, and this is me, of course, even though I'm a big Fast and Furious fan, and just those movies just have gone, ever since the fifth movie, just gone batshit crazy with the stunts they pull. I mean, once you pull like a 10-ton safe through the streets of Rio with a Ford Mustang or muscle car, whatever, 2 American muscle cars, you can kind of just do whatever you want, so...
And now with Hobbs and Shaw coming out, looking fantastic.
That is the first thing I watched this morning. I watched it in bed, and it was just 3.5 minutes of straight action, and I'm ready.
We got to see that one too.
I'm ready. Yes, we'll have a full thing. We should have a counter like Thorin, what the hell faces during movie.
Like Cinema Sins, but like confused as the tally marks, like what's happening here.
Exactly. And they are, just so you know, just so this will make your day, Vin Diesel, they're on the set for Fast 9 now. A couple weeks ago they started.
I don't think they'll ever stop.
I think they want to get to 10. But yeah.
Does Vin Diesel have a child? Does he have a kid?
Yes.
They're going to make him the next main character.
I think he has 2. One's named Pauline.
Pauline?
It's born after Paul died.
Oh, yeah. Shit. That's heavy.
And that was this week's episode.
That was this week's episode.
Ended on a sad note. No,
as we're crying.
Just no, so we don't end it on that. I know Fast 9 and 10 they want to do for Paul. And they have a spin-off about the ladies in the show, or in the movie, sorry. That's in works with like Michelle Rodriguez. Because there's been a lot of... That's one thing that Fast and Furious has done well. There's a lot of strong women in the show. I keep saying it, in the movie. Franchise. So that'll be... Even though they killed off Gal Gadot. That's one of my favorite things. Gal Gadot is in 3 Fast and Furious movies. And people just don't know that.
I don't know that either, because I've watched maybe 3 of the Fast and Furious movies.
Watch all 8.
Like when you brought me to see Fast 8, I was just totally lost, and I was there for the ride.
I forgot about that part. We went and saw that, and you were just like, "Oh yeah, who's this? What's this familia they keep talking about?"
It didn't really matter though. In the end, it was just explosions, good times.
I'm trying to think. 8,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
8. The only thing that like you really would need to know, other than like the fact that the characters are all family and they've done all this whack shit together, is that The Rock used to not be a fan of them, because The Rock was kind of like the main guy in 5 that was hunting them down. That's how he was introduced in the character into the series. And then the British guy, that him and the team, they get along because the British guy killed one of the team's members. Blah blah blah. That was basically all you need to know. Fast and Furious people know what I'm talking about, but yeah. It's complex. I mean, you get 8 movies in, it's kind of a lot.
Well, we probably have more Fast and Furious viewers than the Clone Wars viewers, so that's good.
Well, we should do a Twitter poll. 5 people will vote in it.
Yeah.
We'll be 2 of them. But, all right, I think that wraps it up for us.
For our movie news roundup, I think so.
Ton of stuff. Thank you for coming on. Endgame less than 2 weeks away for us.
Oh, that'll be a fun episode.
Yes, it will.
Oh my God.
We'll have to cut out all the tears.
I'm gonna have to cut out all my internet the week leading up to seeing it.
I think I have a couple blocked words on Twitter already.
I haven't thought that far ahead. That's a good idea.
Just making sure. Nothing. I
heard there was like around. 3 or 4 minutes that were leaked the other day. Luckily, I never saw it.
Nope, didn't see it. Didn't
that was making its rounds.
Didn't see it.
I'm didn't see it. I don't know.
But
I don't know nothing.
That's probably when you'll be back on. It'll be great.
We're gonna have our round table for that.
Probably. We'll figure that out.
Beautiful.
All right, Thorin, thank you for coming on again.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Assist Podcast. If you like the show, go drop a 5-star rating. That really helps us keep the show going. If you want to stay updated with all of the podcast episodes, hit the subscribe button, and also go follow our Twitter, which is @assist_podcast, and our Instagram, which is now The Assist Podcast. And you can write any emails, any suggestions you have to theassistpod@yahoo.com, and we'll see you next week.